Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Excellent, Dudley, said Uncle Vernon. Then he rounded on Harry. And you? I'll be in my bedroom making no noise and pretending I'm not there, said Harry tonelessly. Excellent, said Uncle Vernon nastily. I will lead them right into the lodge, introduce you Petunia, and pour them drinks at 8:15. I'll announce dinner, said Aunt Petunia, and you, Billy, you'll say, might take you through the dinner room, Mr. Mitten, said Dudley, offering his fat arm to an invisible woman. My perfect little gentleman, sniffed Aunt Petunia. And you? said Uncle Vernon viciously to Harry. I'll be in my room making no noise and pretending I'm not there, said Harry dully. Precisely. Now we should aim to getting a few good compliments at dinner. Petunia, any ideas? Vernon's telling me you're a wonderful golfer, Mr. Mason. Do tell me where you bought your dress, Miss Mason? Perfect. Dudley, how about we had to write an essay about our hero at school, Mr. Mason, and I wrote about you. This was too much for both Aunt Petunia and Harry. Aunt Petunia burst into tears and hugged her son, while Harry ducked under the table so they wouldn't see him laughing. And you, boy, Harry fought to keep his face straight as he emerged. I'll be in my room making no noise and pretending I'm not there, he said. To right you will, said Uncle Vernon forcefully. The Mason don't know anything about you, and it's going to stay that way. When dinner's over, you take Miss Mason back to the lounge for coffee, Petunia. I'll bring the subject around to Trails. With any luck, I I'll have the deal signed and sealed before the news, and at 10 we'll be shopping for a vacation home at Majorca this time tomorrow. Harry couldn't feel too excited about this. He didn't think that Dursley would like him any better in Majorca than they did on Privet Drive. Right, of to town to pick up dinner jacket for Dudley and me and you, Harry. He snared at Harry. You stay out of your aunt's way while she's cleaning. Harry left through the back door. It was a brilliant sunny day. He crossed the lawn, slumped down on the garden bench, and sang under his breath, Happy birthday to me, happy birthday to me. No card, no prison. He would be spending the evening pretending to not exist. He gazed miserably into the hedge. He had never felt so lonely, more than anything else at Hogwarts, more even than playing Quidditch. Harry missed his best friend, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. They, however, didn't seem to be missing him at all. Neither of them had been written to him all summer, even though Ron had said he was going to ask Harry to come over and stay. Countless times, Harry had been on the point of unlocking Hedwig's cage by magic and sending her to Ron and Hermione with a letter, but it wasn't worth the risk. Underage wizards weren't allowed to use magic outside of school. Harry hadn't told the Dursley this, but he knew it was only their terror that he might turn them all into dung beetles that stopped from locking him in the cupboard under the stair with his wand and broomstick, for instance. The first couple of weeks back, Harry had enjoyed muttering nonsense words under his breath and watching Dudley tearing out of the room as fast as his fat legs would carry him. But a long silence from from Ron and Hermione had made Harry feel so cut from the magical world that even taunting Dudley has lost its appeal. And now Ron and Hermione had forgotten his birthday. What wouldn't he give now for a message from Hogwarts? From any witch or wizard? He'd almost be glad of a sight of his arch enemy Draco Malfoy, just to be sure it hadn't all be a dream. Not that his whole year at Hogwarts had been fun. At the very end of last term, Harry had come face to face with none other than Lord Voldemort himself. Voldemort might be a ruin of his former self, but he was still terrifying, still cunning, still determined to regain power. Harry had slipped through Voldemort's clutches for a second time, but it been a narrow escape. And even now, weeks later, Harry kept waking in the night and drenched in cold sweat, wondering where Voldemort was now, remembering his livid face, his wide, mad eyes. Harry suddenly sat bolt upright on the garden bench. He had been staring absent-mindedly into the hedge, and the hedge was staring back. Two enormous green eyes had appeared among the leaves. Harry jumped to his feet so just as a cheering voice floated across his lawn. "I know what day it is," sang Dudley, waddling toward him. The huge eye blinked and vanished. "What?" said Harry, not taking his eyes off the spot where they had been. "I know what day it is," Dudley repeated, coming right up to him. "Well then," said Harry, "so you finally learned the days of the week." "Today's your birthday," sneered Dudley. "How come you haven't got any cards yet? Haven't you even got friends at a freak place?" "Better not let your mom hear talking about my school," said Harry coldly. Dudley hitched up his trousers, which were slipping down his fat bottom. "Why are you staring at the hedge?" he said suspiciously. "I'm trying to decide what would be the best spell to set it on fire," said Harry. Dudley stumbled backward at once, a look of panic on his fat face. You can't. That though, you're not, you're not to do magic. He said you truck out of the house, and you you haven't got anywhere else to go. You haven't got any friend to take. "Juggery puckery," said Harry in a fierce voice. "Hocus pocus, squiggly wiggly." "Mom!" howled Dudley, tripping over his feet as he dashed backward toward the house. "Mom is doing you know what." Harry paid dearly for this moment of fun, as neither Dudley nor nor the hedge was in any way hurt. Aunt Petunia knew he hadn't really done magic, but he still had to duck as she aimed a heavy blow at his hand with a soapy frying pan. Then she gave him work to do what they promised that he wouldn't eat again until he finished. Oh, Dudley lolled around, watching and eating ice cream. Harry cleaned the windows, washed the car, mowed the lawn, trimmed the water beds, pruned and watered the roses, and repainted the garden bench. The sun blazed overhead, burning the back of his neck. Harry knew he shouldn't have risen Dudley's bait, but Dudley had said the very thing Harry had been thinking himself. Maybe he didn't have any friends in Hogwarts. Wish they would They could see famous Harry Potter now, he thought savagely as he spread manure on the flower beds, his back aching, sweat running down his face. It was 7:30 in the evening when, at least exhausted, he heard Aunt Petunia calling him. Get in here and work on the newspaper. Harry moved gladly into the shade of gleaming kitchen. On top of the fridge stood tonight's pudding, a huge mound of whipped cream and sugared violets. A loin of roast pork was sizzling in the oven. Eat quickly, the Masons will be here soon, snapped Aunt Petunia, pointing at two slices of bread and a lump of cheese on the table. She was already wearing salmon pink cocktail dress. Harry washed his hand and bolted down his pitiful supper. The moment he had finished, Aunt Petunia whisked away his plate. Upstairs, hurry! He passed the door to the living room. Harry caught a glimpse of Uncle Vernon and Dudley in a bow tie and a dinner jacket. He had only just reached the upstairs landing when the doorbell rang, and Uncle Vernon's furious face appeared at the foot of the stairs. Remember, boys, one sound. Harry crossed his bedroom on tiptoe, slipped inside, closed the door, and turned to collapse on his bed. The trouble was, there was already someone sitting on it. Chapter 2. Dobby's Warning. Harry managed to not to shout out, but it was a close thing. The little creature on the bed had large bat-like ears and bulging green eyes the size of tennis balls. Harry knew instantly that this was what he had been watching him out of the garden hedge that morning. They had stared at each other. Harry heard Dudley's voice from the hall. May I take your coats, Mr. and Miss Mason? The creature slipped off the bed and bowed so low that the end of its thumb, the nose touched the carpet. Harry noticed that it was wearing what looked like an old pillowcase with ribs for arm and leg holes. Hello? Said Harry nervously. Harry Potter, said the creature in high-pitched voice Harry was sure would carry down the stair. So long has Dobby wanted to meet you, sir. Such an honor it is. Thanks for watching and meet you on episode 3. Bye.